With where the world's kind of at the minute, it's fair to say we're kind of like in a period of universal chaos, some might say. How does that impact you creatively compared to when you go to like a period of internal, like personal chaos in your life?
I mean, lockdown was quite good for me because it was a lot more time to just write and not. Normally you'd be writing songs and it would be for something, or you've got like a schedule of gigs that are coming up, so you're not spending as much time writing. So it was good creatively that way. But it's not really like, it didn't really affect my songwriting at all. It was just I had more time to do it.
I think as well, like, it was weird going from kind of having no time to do things and write to then having all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And it was like there isn't any pressure, but you feel pressured to then do more things because you've got more time. But yeah, I mean, I think once we got back in the studio, like, things just kind of went back to normal. I don't think I really wrote much more than, like, given how much free time we had, I didn't particularly do much more, which, yeah.
I mean, it was good for us as well, because when we sat down at the start of the year, we got a new manager at the start, and we were planning out the year with a really busy schedule and it opened up time to, to let us actually sit down and write songs. So
it's really different as well, like when you're going into the studio and there's no gigs coming up, like the kind of schedule kind of changes, like what you're aiming to do.
Yeah.
Did it impact what you were writing as well and what you've written since? Like if you look at like Legato or Shower Thoughts, for instance, they're both quite internal, kind of introspective songs. Has the stuff you've written as a, like, kind of through lockdown and afterwards been similar to that, or?
Not really. There was, in a weird way, like during lockdown when I was writing songs, I had a lot more time to think about like the emotions in the songs, and we've got a couple of tunes coming out, and they're all kind of written from the internal perspective, and it's all songs about like reflection and stuff. So it didn't really impact what we were writing.
Is Pomposity kind of, would you say it's somewhere in that vein as well, in terms of the reflection?
Pomposity's more, yeah, it is. It's like a kind of reflection song, kind of like making like a kind of light-hearted joke about like how I was feeling at the time, going back to relationships that I probably shouldn't have done, and it's, yeah.
It's a lot brighter as well though, like if you look at it musically with the kind of melody and stuff behind it, what kind of fueled that shift in that direction?
That was Grant.
The Vistas album.
Yeah. Grant constantly listening to the Vistas? That album.
Yeah.
Which, because I can't remember if you came with that song after.
It was like that,
after
the same as it
lockdown.
always is, just like a couple of voice notes and like got a wee melody, but yeah, it's...
I think that's what drove kind of Grant's idea to make it that that feel of song, very kind of upbeat, feel good, indie, joyous. You could go
Thanks,
on.
you're doing well here.
Thank you.
Was it quite a conscious shift then? Did you listen to the album and think this is something that you wanted to try and achieve a similar feeling in your music, or was it more of a subconscious thing just as a result of hearing it?
I don't really know, because I think we don't really have a set sound. We're not like a straight indie band, we're not like a punk band, so I think depending on what I'm listening to at the time, subconsciously and consciously affects the songs that I'm writing, because it's just kind of what I'm into. And
to reiterate, Grant constantly listened to this album, like all the time, so it probably subconsciously and consciously fed into when we were writing the song, and that kind of feel.
Pomposity was constantly changing as well.
Yeah,
it took so long to write. Like every time we went in, we were like, right, no, we don't like this. It's changing to that. It went on for ages.
What was the first idea of that song like then, and how did it kind of compare to the final one?
Very stabby, like very. I don't know. The drums were a lot more forceful than just being in the background, and changed riffs about every 20 minutes.
I can't even remember.
The theme tune for Up was in it at one point.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, because we'd like changed a chord pattern or a chord progression at some point, and then we were trying to come up with a guitar melody for it, and Russell was like came up with this melody and I tried to play it on guitar. And then we're like, man, this really sounds like something. And then it was like, do 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 do.
I still think that's how we should have kept it, man. I thought it was
he was telling us after, he's like, oh, here, I think that's the theme tune for Up. And then sends it, and we're like, yeah, can't use that. So that was a big change. But yeah.
What's guiding you then, though, when you're going through that process of shaping a song? What is it that you're kind of holding on to that is taking you to the final product?
It's a very philosophical question. What is guiding us? I'm going to pass that one on to Grant. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we don't write lots of songs. We tend to just do like one or two. So I think that what guides us is more that's probably the songs we're going to record. So we try and, when finishing the song, we try and make sure that's it finished, so that when we then go into the studio, it's done. And there's not a lot we need to change.
I think as well what Grant said, like, because we don't really have a very specific sound, like it's good to kind of go into every song with like fresh ideas, and nothing's really out of the question. Obviously once it boils down, it becomes a bit more like us, but yeah, I don't know.
Like when Grant comes in with a song, like he's not stuck on it has to sound like that.
Yeah.
It can completely
like
change.
that.
I mean, it will still be
Very
the same song, but his idea, and he's got no problem with that kind of changing once we've all had a bit
That's
of
why it
input.
works. I think that's why
Yeah.
a lot of creative freedom to I just come in with chords, normally just wrote an acoustic guitar and be like, make it sound good.
Yeah.
A lot of Calvin going in huffs.
That's not true. That's not true.
I mean, when you're working on a song as well, are you thinking about it in the context of like the rest of your music? Because if you look at the EP last year through to the single, there's quite a clear progression with each release that you've put out since.
I think now definitely more.
Yeah.
Like definitely when like in terms of the EP and stuff, we were very much like, let's do whatever, like here and adding weird samples in and stuff like that. I think now we do have a bit more of a defined route, and like especially writing new songs and maybe coming up with different parts. Like one of us could be like, it doesn't totally fit in with other songs.
We're not really frightened to tell each other if it's shit.
Yeah.
But again, that's why it works, is just because we're so close that if it's shite, we'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Normally him, but
But I think we're going to get better at it as well. Like before, when we were going in the studio with Jamie, and it was like the whole songs were getting taken apart. Like, why the hell's that in there? What are you doing there? And now it's, maybe there's one little bit, like just like maybe change that sort of thing. And
we've got much better as well,
Yeah.
like totally breaking down songs before we go into the studio, so that we are kind of definite and set on every little bit,
Have you learned anything about your songwriting overall from doing that? Like really breaking them down and kind of picking them apart before you go in?
like gelling parts together a wee bit more. Like we spend a lot of time on like the rhythmic aspect of like even just like me to Harvey's snare. Makes it all a lot tighter. Again, that just helps when you go and record it, because everything's on the beat or off the beat. It's
getting good at zoning in on like very specific points of a song, and making it much more coherent and tighter, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken a lot about the kind of evolution of the band and where it's come from and where it's gone and how the new single kind of fits into that. What song for you do you think has been the biggest step in the evolution of the band and has kind of been the biggest jump and the most important?
What song?
I would say Legato, just because it was like the first time our songs like properly like resonated. Like we got playlisted for it, which was obviously a massive help. But
It was our big break.
but no, it's like that's the song that like if anyone speaks to us about it, it's everyone talks about Legato. So I think that's probably like you start to then realise that right, maybe this is what we should be doing, rather than something like El Pacino that's a bit.
Yeah, I think that probably helped with writing new songs and kind of taking ideas from Legato and using that in, for example, like in Pomposity, and the next few singles we have coming out. I'd say that would.
Did you know that when you wrote the song? Did you have a sense of the importance of it?
Nah, it's never something that really like crosses my mind, because to me we're not really at a level where that. Well, I personally don't think it's really important that we have to be. This is how we write songs. It's nothing that I don't really think about it. Just write it. If I enjoy writing it and it's how I felt when I'm writing it, then that's.
Has what you want to say with your music changed at all as well? Has that shifted from when you first began as a group?
Aye. I used to just like make up stories. Like when I first started writing, I was like 17 or something. I hadn't really done much. I was just a 17-year-old boy living in a town. So I used to just like write songs about anything, make up like stories in my head. Whereas now I've obviously grown up a wee bit more and experienced life, and I now like growing like confidence in the band. I'm more happy to just talk about how I feel and not be worried about what I'm going to say. If people look bad at me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more truth.
It's
in
like
your
it's like honesty,
yeah.
and which is good. It gets it off the system, and
it's a release.
Yeah.
How does that impact you guys and the rest of the band then? If Grant's able to kind of have that honesty, can you feed off that in any way? Does it impact you?
Yes. I feel is the correct answer. I don't know. I think like I've noticed in like listening back to songs that the lyrics are more honest and kind of truthful. I don't know if that directly impacts when we're writing at all, because like we don't really talk about it or anything like that. I don't know. That's a tough question. I can't answer that.
Yeah, me and Grant have a very specific relationship when it comes to writing tunes, and not much of it's me listening to what he says.
It's okay.
He sings words and I keep them in time.
I think it can impact maybe the feeling of a song or how it's going with the lyrics, but again that might be more subconsciously than doing it on purpose. But we'll say we did it on purpose because that
makes us look like a real band.
Smart. And like we know what we're doing.
Probably doesn't matter anyway. We're going to get blown off the stage.
I'm terrified.
Who is the most pompous member of Weekend It?
Ooh. Really?
No, how?
It's definitely him.
It's a lie.
Right. First of all, describe exactly what pompous means.
Just for
clarification.
Don't know what it means.
Yeah, for the people there that don't totally know what
like
it means.
Someone not like full of yourself, but like you've got a lot of like character about you, and you're very confident in yourself.
Harvey.
Exactly.
Harvey.
This isn't me explaining to make it seem like
know.
you, but it's you.
I don't think it's me. Is it about me? Did you write a song
I
about
wouldn't
me?
say.
I don't like it that much, but
I wouldn't say.
I thought it meant fat originally. To be fair, like
I meant fat.
Aye. Someone was pompous.
That's not you then.
It just sounds like it, but no, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it's me. I think it's you.
Beg to differ.
Yeah, Harvey, definitely.
I can imagine Russell would say Harvey as well, just for his input.
Yeah, he would.
On that note, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much,
Thanks, Alex.